What's up, guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of Chewing That Apologetics. I'm your host, Caden, the Trinitarian Trooper, and this is your other host,
Aaron, the Islamic Nightmare.
And in today's video, we're going to be explaining a controversial topic, which is God's omnipotence, omnipresence, versus free will. How do they align, and how do they make sense with each other? So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. The first point is that God loves us enough to give us free will. Now, I know this doesn't really explain a whole lot about his free will versus his omnipresence, omnipotence, but let me just explain real quick. God loves us enough to give us free will. If he didn't give us free will and made us worship robots, that would not be love. That would just be controllingness and just a power play in some sense. It would just be forced worship at that point, which would not be loving. However, choosing the wrong path does have its consequences. We have free will every day to murder, but if you murder, well, it's on you if you get sentenced to life in prison or death or whatnot. So in the same way, even though God does give us that free will, he has to be a just judge to be a just God. So if you choose the wrong path, you will be judged justly. Now I'm going to give you guys an analogy to make sense of God's omnipresence, omnipotence, his omniscience, and as well as free will. Let's say I'm behind the scenes WWE, right? And they give me the script and I know everything that's about to happen before the match plays out. And then I go out and I'll watch it happen in front of my eyes. Before the match even started, I already knew everything that was going to happen, but it doesn't mean that I caused that to happen. I am not the source cause for what the wrestlers are doing. They were already going to do that. I simply just know what they're going to do.
Now, I'm going to come in with kind of a second analogy just to kind of get the point across. Let's say that there's a child, okay? And then there's some hot water, wherever that hot water is, on the stove, in a bowl, whatever, right? And there's a parent there that's kind of watching this child. And the child is going up about to put their hand in the hot water. But instead of the parent stopping them, they allow it to happen, and the child's hand gets burned, right? Now, the child knows not to do it anymore, right? It's just kind of a lesson. Notice, the parent knows what's about to happen, but it doesn't take the child's arm and dip its hand into the hot water. It just watched it happen. It knew what the child was going to do, but it let it happen just out of a reasoning of like a lesson, just so it remembers, hey, do not touch that hot water, or at least check that it's hot before you touch it. Also, just because the parent allows it to happen doesn't mean that he's evil, or doesn't mean that he caused it. It just means that he knows what was going to happen, but let it happen for whatever reason, whether that be out of, just reasoning or just an experience. And we can actually see this position supported by the Bible, because it's actually out of love that we choose him. That's why we have a free will, is so that we have the free will to actually love God and to choose him, so that it can actually be a relationship and not just a checklist. So I actually have two verses here that support this. The first one is Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Therefore choose life that you may live, you and your descendants. So we can see it's a choice. He's telling us what to choose, but it's a choice, right? Second verse, Joshua 24, verse 15. If it seems evil to you to serve Yahweh, choose today whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites. It's in whose land you dwell, but as far from me and my house, we will serve Yahweh. So you can see the point in both of these verses is that we're given a choice. We can either choose to worship false gods, we can choose to live any which way we want, or we can just choose in general to not even believe in a God, right?
Yeah, Vatican II.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's still a choice, right? You still have the choice to serve him, or you don't, right? But at the end of the day, he's not holding you at knife point like, serve me.
Exactly.
Serve me or you die, right? It's not like that. He gives us the choice. Obviously, there's punishments just like there is with the law, right? But he's just, so he has to put those in place.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay, guys, I also want to point out that, again, I want to kind of reiterate that love requires free will. The reason why is because God wanted a world where people genuinely would love him. So therefore, he had to allow freedom, even if that meant that some would reject him, right? His foreknowledge doesn't compromise our ability to choose love or rebellion. So, in other words, God loves us, He really does, but He also wants to see us willingly choose Him. This requires that He put in place free will. Because again, making us worship robots does not mean that we actually love Him, as that we're programmed to do that, right? If I take a computer and I program it to act a certain way, or an AI to act a certain way, let's say I program it to act super nice towards me, it's probably just being nice because I commanded it to be nice, not because it's genuinely nice.
Also, just another kind of parent-child analogy is that a child will sometimes rebel against their parent, right? They'll just go completely against what they say, or just be like, nah, I'm just gonna do it my own way, right? Or it can choose to obey their parent, or choose their parent's action, or to love their parent. That doesn't mean that when this child rebels and gets punished, that doesn't mean that the parent was forcing either option. It was just there, and it just happened, and it was just justly punishing their child. So just kind of, going back to the Bible, since we've shown that there is a choice, now I'm also going to show the omnipotence of God, how He is all-knowing. So the first one we got is Psalm 139, verse 4. For there is not a word on my tongue, but behold, Yahweh, you know it altogether. So this verse shows that He knows everything. Before a word leaves your tongue, already knows what it is, right? He knows everything. Another verse, Isaiah 46, verse 10. I declare the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things that are not yet done. I say, my counsel will stand, and I will do all that I please. So, you can see from this verse that Yahweh already knows everything, right? He said He declares the end from the beginning, right? So it shows His omnipotence, and then other verses show His free choice, that He gives us a free choice out of love.
Another important point to make is that God is outside of space and time. He doesn't watch time unfold like we do. He doesn't watch events unfold like we do. Instead, He sees everything. He knows everything in the future, now, in the past, at all times. So He'll know things because He knows what's going to happen, but it doesn't mean that He causes them, right? So from His perspective, our choices aren't in the future, they're already known, but they're not coerced, right? So, and then that makes room for both God's omnipotence or omniscience and also our free will to exist. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you guys for all the love and support on the channel. Hopefully we did a good job there explaining it, but yeah, we love y'all, and that's something that you want.